And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly, truly fantastic day today. Welcome back, my people. Shout out to all my 90s people, all my people who grew up in the 90s, who grew up during the greatest era of basketball. Shout out to Uncut Hoops, because this video was inspired by his video talking about the NBA being the weakest era of basketball. And he was showing some clips of Draymond Green talking nonsense because Draymond Green is an idiot. And he was showing some clips of course, the Duck, the Deer, the leader of the 4 and 6 Kingdom, and Kevin Durant, and all these ridiculous players who just don't understand why they get so much criticism. So, for those of us who grew up in the 90s, who grew up during the Michael Jordan era, who grew up during the era that was the explosion of the NBA due to one Michael Jeffrey Jordan. I'm a musician, but like I said, back in the day, I spent between 4 and 6 days a week playing basketball. If you grew up during that era, you know that you probably played a whole lot of basketball, no matter what you ended up doing for a career in your life or for a job. Back then, growing up, you probably played a lot of basketball. People in your friend circle probably played a lot of basketball. People who had no business playing basketball probably played a lot of basketball because it was simply part of the culture in the 90s, and that's just kind of what you did if you were back in that era. And many of us, even if we didn't have dreams of going to the NBA, we probably dreamed about what it would be like to be in the NBA, what it would be like to get paid to play this game that we spend so much time playing for free. And I say all that to say this. Myself included, I had thoughts about what it would be like to make it to the NBA. I'm 5'11", not super athletic, but like I said, I did spend a whole lot of time working on my jumping ability just to be able to do a one-handed dunk that wasn't impressive, but, you know, I was just excited at the fact that I was actually able to do it. So yeah, I spent time dreaming of what it would be like to be in the NBA, what it would be like to be like Mike, to be any NBA player making 6-7 figures to play the game of basketball. What a beautiful dream. What a beautiful life that would be. If somehow we could just make it to the NBA. And so when I think of growing up in the 90s and growing up and, you know, seeing the amount of friends that I had that played the game, seeing the amount of people that I knew from my city who I absolutely believe had the talent to make it to the NBA, but for whatever reason, some chose the street life. Some couldn't keep their grades up in college or whatnot, but for whatever reason, didn't make it. All of these hopes and dreams, to see the modern NBA players complain so much is truly disgusting, people. It is truly disgusting. To hear Draymond talking about there needs to be less games played is disgusting. To hear players on board with ditching the All-Star game, and don't get me wrong, I am too, as long as they get rid of the title of being an All-Star. No All-Star game means you don't get to put All-Star on your resume either. I'm on board with that because these players have ruined the All-Star game. But to hear players so willing to get rid of the All-Star game, to hear players low managing and, just seeming like they're looking for every opportunity to not play, to hear the Duck, the Deer, the leader of the 4 and 6 Kingdom, or I should say to see him tweeting out, complaining about having to fly to Milwaukee for a preseason game. It is disgusting when people who grew up in my generation dreamed of making it to the NBA. And I can't imagine a job where I dream about being able to have that job as a profession that my thought process is, hey, I want to grow up and be an NBA player so I can start altering all of the rules of the NBA. I so desperately want to be an NBA player so I can come in and start saying, hey, we shouldn't have to do what the previous players did, even though we're making more money than ever. I can't imagine what kind of entitled, spoiled brat you have to be to have that mentality. But this is what they have, people. This is the LeBron James era. Is the era of entitlement. And it is an insult to real basketball fans everywhere. It's an insult to the fans who spend their hard-earned money for the game, but it's also an insult to fans who just love the game, to fans who at one point may have had dreams of making it to the NBA themselves. But I think it is just an insult to the game of basketball, to the game that would allow you to be able to do so much from a monetary value to play the game that you supposedly love. It is an insult to the game of basketball. It is an insult to the previous players who had to go through so much to play the game of basketball. To Bill Russell, who, and players, black players back then who couldn't even stay in the same hotel rooms with their counterparts. It is an insult. To Michael Jordan, who had the love of the game clause in his contract saying that no matter what happens, I can play basketball when and where I want to, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. I know I'm making more money than most people in America make, and I know you may want to protect your investment, but I play the game of basketball because it's the game that I love, and no one is gonna keep me from it. You can't control me with the money because I want to play the game of basketball. This is why I'm here. Michael Jordan, who breaks his foot during the second season and has to sneak back to North Carolina to play games while they don't know why he's rehabbing his foot, and then has to be on minutes restriction, and he's fighting with the front office to be able to play. He's fighting with the front office who may want to tank the season so that they can get a better draft pick, when Michael Jordan's mindset is, if we can make the playoffs, we should make the playoffs. If I can play, I want to be able to play because this is why I'm here. I'm not here about the money. I'm here because I had dreams of making it to the NBA because I love the game of basketball, and now that I'm here, this is what I'm here to do, is play the game of basketball. This is why I put the love of the game clause in my contract, because I had a feeling that someone may want to control me with the money, to say that you can't do this because we're paying you this amount of dollars. We can't risk you getting injured. But Michael Jordan says the love of the game comes first. And isn't that ironic that this is the guy who winds up being the GOAT in the eyes of most people, the guy who arguably loved the game more than anybody else? So it is an insult to fans, to past eras, and to the game of basketball itself that these players disrespect the game of basketball. Let's just say, and this extends beyond LeBron James, because the disrespect of the game is simply part of the culture of the game now. All the foul baiting, all the weak-minded complaining to the refs every single play, and not just complaining, just like whining, and whining to the point of not getting back down the court. Everybody does it, but this is the LeBron James era. This comes from the so-called king. Super teams, a disrespect to the game. They had to put in a minimum amount of games. What is it, 65 games or something, that you have to play at least 65 games to be eligible to get certain rewards. This is the LeBron James era. And all these things represent a disrespect to the game of basketball. And like I said, shout out to Uncut Hoops, because I was watching his video, which Uncut Hoops always does fantastic videos. But when I was watching his video, I was like, man, can you imagine it being your dream to play the game of basketball in the NBA, making millions of dollars, and you get there and all you do is complain about the game that you're getting paid to make millions of dollars? That makes no sense, Draymond Green. That makes no sense, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. I remember Kyrie Irving was talking about it at one point, but Kyrie seems to have turned the page, which, hopefully he stays on that page. But yeah. It's just, you would never imagine. Like, I can't imagine something being my dream job to think that I'm going to go in and change it. It's like, if you want to be an NBA player, you want to do the things that NBA players do, which is play 82 games. This is part of the job description. What are you talking about? If you want to be an NBA player, you want to put on a show at the All-Star game. This is part of being an NBA player. This is supposedly what you dreamed of. And now that you are here, you are complaining. Man, please. But anyway, we gonna hold up here. Like I said, I just, it's just amazing to me. It's amazing to me that people have these conversations with a straight face. It's amazing to me that mainstream media have these conversations with a straight face. But more importantly, it's amazing to me that these players don't see how ridiculous and disrespectful they sound when they say crap like that. You guys are getting more money than ever to play the game of basketball. And yet you have more complaints than ever. One more thing I wanted to touch on is the constant injuries that we see today. And I was also thinking about this as well. Now, I've talked about this before, and, part of what I think is happening is if you are not playing hard on a consistent basis, if you're doing no scrimmaging and practice like they used to do, you are not building up you're not building up your body to actually play 82 games. Like, you're doing all these little fluffy workouts and whatnot and all this individual practice and all this stuff, but you're not building up your body to actually be able to handle an 82 game season. But on top of that, they talk about all the things that these modern players have access to that's supposedly why they're so athletic, people. This is they have modern medicine and modern technology, and they have traveling masseuses and hyperbaric chambers and all this stuff that they have access to, and all this recovery technology that's supposed to help your muscles recover faster. But people, I was thinking about this as well, and the only thing I can equate it to is this. For people who are musicians, you will understand what I'm saying here. Bass players, people who play the bass, especially if you play the acoustic bass, the stand-up bass, but even if you play electric bass, you have to build calluses on your fingers to be able to play the bass for hours without tearing up your fingertips. Like the strings on the bass, that constant motion of plucking the strings will eventually, you'll probably have some bleeding and whatnot. And you have to build up calluses to be able to continuously play the bass without having that happen to your fingers. And calluses are just like this rough patch of skin, this tough patch of skin on your fingers that allow you to, that you have to build up to play bass. And that kind of got me thinking, like, if you have all this technology dedicated to the recovery of your muscles, right, after a game, maybe you're actually preventing your muscles from building up calluses to do this thing over and over again. Again, back in the day, they didn't have these things, yet they didn't get injured. It seems like not nearly the way that these modern players get injured. But it's like if after every game you're getting a deep tissue massage and all these things that are supposed to help your muscles recover, maybe it's actually stopping your muscles from building those calluses. And maybe I'm sure it's a different terminology for it when it comes to your muscles, but to me it's the equivalent of building calluses. Is your muscles getting used to that kind of stress. It's stopping your muscles from building up the tolerance to the stress of playing with that kind of intensity for 82 games. All this weak coddling of players is preventing them from developing the necessary toughness that it takes to play 82 games. It's preventing them from actually developing the toughness with their body from a physical standpoint to be able to play it, and it's preventing them from developing it mentally. Because to me, if you're not pushing yourself, if you're not scrimmaging hard in practice and just getting used to playing intensely as much as possible, well, you're gonna be a weak-minded, sensitive crybaby who's crying about the season is too long. But anyway, we're gonna hold up here. Let me know what you think, people. Are players getting coddled so much that they can't even develop the toughness? And what I mean by coddled, obviously they're not being held accountable. That's one aspect of it. But I mean even with the, like I said, with the amount of technology that they have access to, maybe it's actually too much. Maybe it's actually preventing their bodies from developing the stature and the toughness to be able to play 82 games without getting injured every other game, because the amount of stars that get injured is just astronomical. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense for an era that they keep telling us is bigger, stronger, and faster and more athletic and all this stuff, and supposedly the greatest era of basketball, people. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.